Welcome back, my friends, and this is another one of my little chats. Now, today I'm going to talk about a legendary singer from Memphis, Tennessee, and he was called Elvis Presley and the King of Rock and Roll. I know he's been done loads of times and that, and this is my look at Presley and how he was so successful. And this is the one of his albums, with quite a few hits. And this is our picture of Elvis when he was young. Because later years, in the early 70s, so his death, 1977, he had put a lot of weight on. He had people he had met. He met the Beatles, but he didn't get on with the Beatles. He even tried to get John Lennon deported from America. He tried to get Nixon, and one of the other presidents to try and get John Lennon deported. And he did not like the Beatles. He didn't like their music. That was the one thing, because they met him and they didn't really. They met their idol, and they didn't really. George Harrison didn't like him. He didn't think much of him. Another story I've heard. Well, I've seen a picture on YouTube that Ozzy got to meet Elvis in Vegas, when he was with Black Sabbath, and there is a photo of Ozzy and Elvis Presley on stage, and the story is that Ozzy was in the audience and Presley spotted him and called him up, and they did a couple of his songs, and they did a version of Paranoid, and they did it in a way that Elvis could sing it as well. But that is just one of these stories. But there is a photo, there is a story of it, and there's a photograph of Ozzy and Elvis on stage together, the two of them. Ozzy doesn't really remember the meeting, but there is a picture of him, and that was in the mid-70s. But I could see that Presley was impressed from the story. He was impressed with Ozzy and that. And it was like the King of Rock and Roll meeting the Prince of Darkness. And as I'm going to look at this album, because he never toured the UK, but he had 21 UK's number one hits in the UK charts. The only time he sort of landed on UK territory is, I think it was in Scotland, when he was coming back from Germany doing a tour in the 60s, from his tour of duty in the 60s. So that was the only time he ever put foot on UK soil. He never toured abroad, only into America and North America. This album is called Elvis Songs, whatever, and it's one of his early ones. And this was, I think this must have been re-released in 1980, because it's got 1980. Must have been one of the, because he's had 4,000 hit albums. So on this is a mono version. On this you've got Hound Dog, Love Me, Loving You, Hot Dog, I Want to Be Free, Jailhouse Rock, Trina Manor, I can't pronounce that, Baby I Don't Care, Santa Claus Is Coming to Town, Don't, and then side 2 you got Trouble, King Carole, Steadfast, Loyal and True, Dirty, dirty feeling. Just tell her Jimmy said hello. Girls, girls, girls. Bossa Nova, baby. Little Egyptian. Full, 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 in love. Saving. So this is like like a greatest hits, sort of. Hound Dog was originally covered and written for a blues singer, Willie Martin Big Mama Thompson. It was recorded in Los Angeles in 1952, and when it was released in early 53, it became the number one rhythm and blues hit. In July 19, it's got 1956. 1956, I was sitting in a lifeboat, with 6 or 7 other people, somewhere in the Atlantic. I was reliving to be away from a sinking Anodone, the beautiful Italian India liner. I had been on for past 8 days, which now had a large gash hole in its side and was going down fast. The lifeboats had a broken rudder and could not be steered. I wondered what would have happened to me next. 14 hours later, I stepped on the dock in New York and was grabbed by Jerry Lane with almost other things, the news that Presley had just recorded Hound Dog. So I don't know if this is a story about someone who met Elvis recorded songs, sold about unpredictable 7 million copies. After the great success of Hound Dog, Elvis publishers continue using the regardless, moving new material, and ballads come to mind that I had might be appealed. Love Me was first recorded in 1954 by Willie and Ruby. The duet was produced by Spark Records. It was covered by anyone from Billy Elliot, George Gibson, but was not a hit until Elvis recorded his very own, very successful rendition. This is sort of telling you stories about the different tracks and how they were successful and that. So he, in the early 70s, he put on a lot of weight. He from that picture, that's where he was young. And when the later years, he had. I wasn't a real big fan of Elvis Presley. I could take his music or leave it. I wasn't a mad Presley fan, really. But he made quite a few films and that, and he, as I said, he was king of rock and roll. And as the story goes, the king of rock and roll met the Prince of Darkness. That was the only time they met, and they talked on stage and that, and it seemed like they was getting on very well. So on the back, there's the write-up of the history of all the different songs and how Presley come to do them. To say that Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll is an unmatchable understatement. No one would grace with that. Not the Beatles, not the Rolling Stones, not Little Richard, not even Chuck Berry. Elvis was a lot more than the king of rock and roll. Presley is more than the legend. Elvis has become part of the mystique. So this is like a tribute album to Presley, because he died in 1977, and he was born in 1935, but he died in 1977, and he was only 42, the same age as his mother was when she died. He made quite a few films. He did tour. He only toured America, even though he was recognised all around the world and everybody loved his music. He never got to tour anywhere else apart from America. I think his manager wouldn't let him tour abroad for some reason, and that was, I think if he had done a world tour and people had got to see him and see what he's like, he would have sold out places and that. And he's one of many legends, and to hear the story that one legend met another legend, that's Presley met Ozzy, that is a story in its own. And when I saw it and was listening to it on YouTube, I was surprised that Presley actually liked Ozzy, because he, from the stories that I've heard about Presley, I didn't think he would like things like that, because he didn't like the Beatles, because the Beatles was getting bigger than him. Well, getting on the same level, and because they was, one of the greats. He thought that he was, trying to take his crown. I think he was a bit jealous of the Beatles and that, and that's why he tried to get John Lennon deported from America, because I think that was the way with Presley, because he was so insecure and that he had that sort of way of, anybody got in his way, he could use heavies and that. And that was just Presley in his way. I think he was very lonely. Even though he'd been married and he's had family, I think he was a very lonely man. He didn't have people that he could talk to, like as with the Beatles, there was 4 of them, and there was like a group of brothers and that, and family. Now with Presley, he was on his own. He had people round him, but not close to him and that. And I think he was so insecure and that's why he ended up taking pills, eating. He ended up being that, putting on so much weight. That, I think part of that, was part of why he passed away, because he was having, too much food, bad food for him, drugs and that. And the story of where he died, the story is that he died on his toilet. That is the story what everybody's been told, but I don't know if that's true or not. But this is my look at Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. And I wonder if Presley ever met the Beach Boys, because the Beach Boys was around the same time in the 60s with Brian Wilson. I wonder if they ever crossed paths and that. I haven't heard any stories if the Beach Boys ever met Presley and that. that is something what I'm not heard. It would have been quite interesting if they had, or if Brian had met Presley. But that's one of the stories that we don't know if they ever did meet. Uh, Presley ever met the Beach Boys, being fellow Americans and from California and that. And this is my little look of the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, and a bit of history about him. Um, um, I wasn't, I like the man. I like his music, but I wasn't a big, major Presley fan. I listened to his music. I could take him and leave him, but I wasn't one of these mad fans, who worshipped him. So for now, this is my tribute, little look, as I show you the album again, at Elvis Presley, and a bit of history about his life and his ups and downs and his successes. And for now, I'll say a fond farewell. And if you enjoy this little chat about Elvis Presley and the King of Rock and Roll, and you enjoy other things that I do on the channel, and you would like to subscribe to the channel, it's, as I always say, it's up to you. You can only make the decision. I can't make you so, you gotta join my channel. I can only ask you if you would like to join my channel and become a follower of my channel and help the channel get bigger and better. And for now, I would say a fond farewell. And whenever you watch this, morning, noon, and night, I hope you are safe and well. Hope your loved ones are all safe and well. And wherever you are in this world, look after each other, be good to one another, and take care. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And for now, I'll say bye for now.